It's interesting. I noticed as I was walking through your office a copy of The Economist magazine. I guess you read The Economist. You know what The Economist described your relationship with Russia as? A Faustian pact between Mr. Modi and President Putin. I believe President Putin is invited to come to Delhi very soon, isn't he?
Well, I think the Quad leaders will be coming here very soon. We buy $20 billion of energy from the United States. And let me also tell you...
I'm talking about Russia. I'm just interested in your relationship with Russia. Is it connected, the fact that you are so dependent right now on Russian energy, and India, from the very beginning, from the invasion of Ukraine by Putin's forces in February of 2022, India has refused to condemn that invasion. I guess these are connected, aren't they?
But I think you're jumping, hop, step and jump. Let me first, if you permit me, to give you some basic facts. We were told to buy Russian oil, because if we hadn't bought Russian oil and we had started buying our quantities of 5 million barrels a day, which we were buying, if Russian 13 million barrel goes off, that would have been bought from the Middle East.
You've made that
price,
point.
The price would have gone up to $200 a barrel. And who would have? You would have more inflation in Europe than you currently have.
Minister, you've talked about the price pressures. I'm now into geopolitics. It's interesting. You're a former very senior diplomat in the Indian Foreign Service. You understand the way geopolitics works. Is it wise, do you believe, for India to have forged such a close friendship to Vladimir Putin when, according to the UN General Assembly, a massive majority vote, Russia violated Ukraine's sovereignty in this invasion, something which India will not say and will not recognize? Is it wise for India to have got itself into the place it is now in?
No, India is in a very comfortable place. And other than commentators in parts of the world which have, as I said, a limited understanding of the situation, India is in a comfortable position all over. One of the first foreign ministers that the incoming Secretary of State met was the Indian Foreign Minister. A Quad meeting is taking place here. My Prime Minister has had a discussion with President Trump. I think some of the concerns you're worried about should be addressed to European audiences.
But you believe, in international law, don't you?
I'm not a believer. I'm a practitioner of international law. I've written a book on the use of force. And I think Western Europe is hardly in a position to tell anyone what international law is all about. Let me tell you, we have condemned the use of violence. My Prime Minister has been on record from day one to say this is not the time of war, this is a time of peace. He has said that to President Putin, he's said that to President Zelensky, and that is the point of view which the G20 under the Indian presidency espoused, and that was accepted. The G20 presidency under India is the one which won consensus, and that is the first consensus document, whereas the GA and everything else was stated. So my submission to
it seems to me there's a hypocrisy at work here. You can talk about hypocrisies in the West. I could talk about hypocrisy in India. When it comes to talking sovereignty, and when it comes to an issue you have on your own territory with Kashmir and other people's perceptions of Kashmir's status, you talk about the inviolability of sovereignty. But you don't use that language when it comes to Ukraine and its rights.
We use that language consistently, and I want to correct you. Sovereignty as a concept is something we use consistently.
So condemn Putin's violation of Ukrainian sovereignty.
We have said on record, this is not a time for war. We don't condone the use of peace.
That's not a condemnation of Russia's invasion of Ukrainian territory.
I would suggest that you read the Western démarche to end the war, and we are in favor of doing the war. We could have a similar argument on the Middle East, on Palestine, etc. I think if this is a discussion on energy, let me say that the Prime Minister's primary commitment is to ensure that there is availability of energy to our consumer at all points, at affordable rates, and in a sustainable manner. And we've done very well on all three. Insofar as Russia is concerned, yes, we've had long-standing relations with the erstwhile Soviet Union. We have relations with the Russian Federation, but we have much stronger relations than many with some of the other countries, including the United States. And I would say we buy $20 billion worth of energy from the United States. So the point here is, if it is a discussion on energy, I think it has been completely consistent. And today, we were encouraged by the Americans, by Western Europeans. I think they're out of the equation. They're no longer part of it.
Minister, if I may, I'm going to stop you for a sec, because you've turned the conversation toward America, which is interesting, because Donald Trump, of course, is now in the White House. Donald Trump is determined to use tariffs as and when necessary to change the balance of trade between the United States and key trading partners. He has described India as one of the, quote, kings of tariffs around the world. You can expect tariffs to be imposed on Indian exports to the United States, can't you?
Let me give you a primer on tariffs. Countries are bound by their international obligations. What makes me very happy about what President Trump is saying, and I'll come to tariffs in a minute, he has called for more energy being made available in the world, for the other producers to lower the energy prices. If that happens, the global economy picks up, there's more trade, there's more economic activity, interest rates come down, etc. Insofar as tariffs are concerned, please read carefully what he's saying on energy. It is an attempt to leverage in tariffs also. What he's saying is, if we are a $23 trillion economy and we have open markets and other countries impose high tariffs on us, well, there are two kinds of tariffs. One are tariffs which you've bound under successive rounds of multilateral trade negotiations, and there are tariffs which you've not bound. Now, if countries are raising their non-bound tariffs or their bound tariffs, there are consequences on that. Insofar as the president is concerned, he will impose tariffs.
Hang on, let's keep this conversation as simple as possible. If the United States goes ahead with threats to impose tariffs on countries like India, and he has fingered India as a problem, will you respond with punitive tariffs on US goods coming into India?
As a diplomat, I don't respond to hypothetical questions. India is a $4 trillion economy, and India will safeguard its interests, whether it does through negotiation to avoid the tariffs or it does through retaliation. It's not for me as the energy minister to speak on. Whether you should have a conversation on that to whoever is designated to exercise that authority.
Here's another issue you have, and as Minister for Petroleum and Natural Gas, you have to consider it very carefully. How does India square its commitment to massively grow the economy and therefore to use much more energy, fossil fuel energy, over the coming years, and at the same time meet its commitments, admittedly in India's case, long-term commitment to decarbonisation? How are you going to do it?
India is the one country I am aware of which has met its Paris commitments, point one. India is the one country where the sustainability transition is better than elsewhere. From 2014 to today, we've got 20% biofuel blending, we've got a massive green hydrogen program, and we are today moving in a situation where on all fronts, the decarbonization debate is succeeding.